One. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Tailgate Show on the Brawl Network. We got a big show tonight. We're going to talk about a whole lot of things. We have special guest, of course, the man, the myth, the legend, one Mike Brez. He is fresh from the NFL Combine, and you can find him on Twitter at Mike Brez, number 5. We have B Diddy, of course, as usual, B Quinn 34 on Twitter, and then we've got Jeremy Kramer, the Ginger Unicorn, AirJair54 on Twitter, and I am double AARONTOR on Twitter. What's up, guys? How are you?
What's going on, man? How's it going, Mike?
I'm all worky. And it sucks.
So, Mike, you had some awesome access at the Combine, man. Like, how was that? Like, how was the experience?
It's good. It's a good time. You know, I was on Chicago Brawl earlier, and I told them it's like kind of, if you remember in Jerry Maguire, when he walks into whatever event that was, you know, and Jerry Maguire, it really didn't seem like a scouting combine, and it didn't feel like draft day. Maybe it was like lead up to draft day whenever he was going there and all those people were there, but he brought Cuba Gooding Jr. with him, you know, and then they're walking through and then everybody's talking to all these people and shaking hands and going through. It's kind of like that, but not in that mall type of setting that there was there, more like a conference room. Like jam-packed with like 200 cameras. So it's like it's everybody in a real tight space. Like the whole area that you see of all the different interview spots and where Fox and CBS and NFL Network and all that is recorded is in a room that's 600, 700 square feet.
Oh, wow.
Everybody's right on top of each other. Their mics are just so good with booms that they doesn't pick up the other stuff. That's it. But it's all right there, right in front of your face. So you can barely move around there sometimes. But it's fun. You know, you go through. I brought Bridge from the NFL Brawl there. He knows absolutely. It's easier for me to say who he doesn't know than say who he does know. So it's just boom, 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 boom. People. Met everybody. Every single person you can think of, we met.
That's
Nice,
awesome.
man.
It's got to be one of those things where it's like literally everybody around you is somebody, right? I mean,
yeah, it's true. And then, you know, for us, and I try putting faces with almost Twitter handles because, you know, you have some of these guys from like the Draft Network and things like that there, and you can't always place everybody. You hope they're wearing a T-shirt or something, but yeah, everybody is very like and I forget his name, but you know, we were talking about it last night. But it's Andrew. You were working there, but Andrew Sansil. You guys know the name, right? From the NFL Network, Andrew Sansillo. We talked about it, but I was telling the guys yesterday, Aaron. It was funny because it was like Friday night. Everybody's like cleared out of there, or they're at the scouting combine. And he like scurries in from the scouting combine and go grab one of his something stuff. And like, there's only 3 people in the whole thing now. And like this security guard's like running after him to check his badge. And I thought it was so hilarious because he has the most recognizable face of all time. Like he's on the NFL Network every day, you know. And I was just like, if the one guy that belongs in this room, it's him. And you're tracking him down. And I'm sitting there with like my legs kicked up, relaxing. And I'm like, it's hilarious, you know. So it's a fun time. You see a lot of people. They're very restrictive of the press, really, over in the scouting combine. And I do good to go over there and you know, we're kind of got the front row seat of all that, which is cool. There's so much going on. It's really hard to be in there in both facets of press and to scout. You want to do one or the other, right? You're there to scout, or you're there to you know, fiddle in the press.
So how was it like? How were you able to separate the fan in you and being there on business basically when you're like that close to Nagy, man? That was insane. That video you got.
Yeah, I was really turned on business mode the moment we got there, and I kind of stayed with that. And it's real easy because everybody's just a dude. And then I knew when Nagy was going on. I knew when Pace were going on. I knew when and where. They have you have a monitor that kind of shows you everything. I had that all scoped. So I just got ready for him pretty much before everybody else got ready for him. And I don't know the dude, little skinny dude. But I was sitting front row. There's a little diamond of ropes that's kind of right there, and I wedged myself in like the little corner of it, right up front. And if you guys seen my video, I mean, I was right there. And this little weasel gets in front of me, like just a little skinny guy wobbles in front of me. I'm like, dude, I was like, this no. I was like, obviously you don't even. I'll pull your shirt down. I mean, I'll bring you all the way to the ground, dude. I was like, you don't cut in front of me. And then so. He pissed me off, and
Yeah.
I was like, I was like, I'm not gonna go Brez on everybody right here at the thing, but so I let it go, and then, but it was kind of a blessing because he put me in Debo mode. Like I asked the most questions out of everybody there. And everybody else asks chump questions, like chump question, chump question, chump question. If you listen to the pressers, you know that it is. And I was like, no. I mean, everything I had was like, oh, I got it. And I just had one more, and I was trying to get the last question out, and that was going to be when he said we're going to bring somebody in to push Mitch. I was just going to say, is there any chance you bring somebody in that Mitch has to push? And switch it up. That was going to be my last question, but all these guys. But my favorite part was the little skinny dude, whoever he is. Probably you guys all follow him. He didn't get a single question off, and then he started bitching at it at the end. And I thought, that's hilarious. It's like maybe you should have stood behind me, dude. I don't know.
Yeah, you're coming bows up, man. Get in where you fit in. So it was a trip, man. Like hearing. Because we sit here and we listen to all these pressers, so you start knowing some of the voices, and I know it's not all the local guys were there, but it's like you hear some of the familiar voices, and it's like, oh, there's Brez. It's like holy shit, like this is really happening. Like that's a trip. But you said you were getting some vibes from guys, people kind of giving you the side eye, like the local guys, or what?
Yeah, and most of them. I'm a very anti mass media, trying to be better about it, but and then people just have different views, and we have gone through all that in that cycle. Kind of you get into that cycle, you get out of that cycle, you learn. It's funny that the words stick to football or stick to sports or whatever is like a negative moniker. Not really. It's really what you should be doing if this is what you're here doing. So I've had to learn that the hard way a little bit, but I've been known to be a little abrasive at times. So, and over the years, you don't know if you're thinking, maybe that's kind of worked itself out and not that big. Wrong.
Well, but I think there's a fair amount of bitterness from some of those guys just because of the, we represent the new media, you know what I mean? And they don't like that, people haven't had to come up the way they came up. And be working the mailroom and all this crap like supposedly they all, had to do, which isn't necessarily really true. It's not quite like that, but they all act like they had to, pull a cart of rocks to the top of a mountain and pray at the altar of George Hallis to get the, and they act like it's, it's like it's such an honor that's only been bestowed upon them, so. I mean,
you get that vibe a little bit that it's there. It's just that I seriously don't get along with so many of these people over the years, or it's not even, and it's been like that, but also, I just don't so much like their style. Like Jeff Dickerson, for an example, don't like his style. Maybe a nice guy. I don't know him personally. I don't plan on going golfing with him anytime soon. But, Cutler hated him too. He just absolutely hated him. Me and Cutler seem to have a similar personality, so I just figure I wouldn't like him. And then when I hear him on Waddle and Sylvie and things like that, I was always like, God, I hate this guy. So, I mean, and he's there, and he's like sloshing on the side of the podium, and I'm just like, you're definitely that guy, man. You just feel it. So it's just a lot of those. I tell you, who is really good at questions and I thought he just had a demeanor as a pretty good dude too. Was JJ Stankovic, you know?
Yeah, he's a stand-up guy. I like him.
He was good. He had some hard questions I had in my head. He was sitting. I wanted to be like, high five, dude. That was good. And so that was good. Zach Pearson was there. He's part of that media circle now. Really nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
We have the exact same birthday. But it was good. It was just nice to get up there and be Nagy. And what's weird is you talk about it. I mean, we've seen so many press conferences. We've been talking Bears forever. But Nagy was just like, boom, straight in the eyes. Just that's what he was looking at when he was responding. That's me dead in the eyes, and I'm just staring him down. He's like, he can look at me recording him. He like would glance down at me recording, look back. It was a weird moment. It's like talking to somebody, but then recording their face at the same time. It's just a little weird. Anyway, it was good. And then I got out of there, and then there was another press conference I needed to go to down the way. And I wanted to jump over there real quick. And then, and Bridge was over talking to somebody else. And then I circled back here after a bit after I did that. And Bridge was like, where you at? And he was like, I was just sitting here talking to Nagy for like 5-6 minutes. And I was like, that would have been good. That would have been good.
See, you missed
Bridge.
You missed Bridge talking to him? Yeah. But I heard you laid the groundwork for something maybe down the line.
Yeah, I think that Bridge brought Nagy in. He recruited him and he managed them into the NFL. So they kind of have that, and it's enough of a foot in. Nagy's now a head coach of a NFL football team. Bridge ultimately should be a GM, but. So, they got kind of a relationship there enough that you can say, hey, we want to sit down for 5-10 minutes, and then, you make 5-10 minutes an hour. That's kind of how it goes. We have all these guys that come on the NFL Brawl, and they all say they're going to be there for 10 minutes, and they all end up there for an hour. So that's just kind of how it is. The best way and Bridge talked to him about that, and he said, and Nagy's response was, yeah, we have to come up and sit down, which means come to House Hall. So
that'll be awesome, man.
We'll be in that range where this is when you can do it, when there's kind of a lull, if there's a lull for NFL. It's right after free agency craziness, right before the draft. So that's my goal, is to get up there and just sit down with Nagy. And really, sitting down with Nagy's cool. It's good for video, good for what we do, and sponsor that up. But really, I would like to see Hallis Hall inside.
Sure. Oh, heck yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
So I got to ask you, I was there a couple of years ago. What player or position group had the most buzz around it? Usually, like when I was there, it was Quentin Nelson, Mike McGlinchey's, and there was just a certain buzz in the room for certain groups. Was there a group that was just like, wow, everybody's really here to check these guys out?
It's the wide receivers for sure.
Anybody jump out at you where you're just like, wow, that guy's it? Like, got that juice.
Well, it was really a different side of it, because I would have been putting my scouting Greedy was one of these guys that was like that. But I tell you, the guy that really did it from the media standpoint is because when the receivers first got there, everybody lined up. Podium 1, he's up there first. It's Judy from Alabama. And I was like, there was nobody up. He just got up there. He walks up, and the first thing that caught my eye was the Star of David hanging around his neck, like big, bold, like almost a novelty one. And I was like, that's weird. That's weird. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I couldn't even hear what he was saying because I was looking at it so much. And I was like, that is just weird. And he's wearing it because his last name's Judy, and he's not Jewish. He just wore it to be, because they wanted people to start calling him Jew. And then he had to go on like an apology tour that quick at the combine. This all happened in like 4 hours. I was like, you're on there, now you're doing an apology tour right over there. You're like, you were talking about it here, now you're over here doing the apology tour. And so that kind of really got my attention. Ruggs running fast was great, but, and I think he goes a little higher than he's supposed to. All these 4-2 guys, not so great of a crowd. When you look at the 4-2 wide receivers, take a list. No, You know, they all end up going like round one, and they're all overdrafted is a good word for it. So I was it's just hard this year. There's definitely some receivers. If Bears went for a receiver in the second round, it wouldn't blow my mind if the value's there. I think we could use a dynamic playmaker, especially with Taylor gone. I just think there's free agency moves you can do to kind of fill all that in, and we got bigger holes and all that. But you know, they could grab somebody. So I wasn't so much focused on that group. I was focused on like offensive line, and I was pretty intent on that one. I liked some of the grouping. So have you got guys you poked out so far that you like on the offensive line and yet?
No, we haven't got too much into our draft prospects yet. Just like Albert O's been my guy since probably about a month ago, maybe a little more.
Yeah. I got some. I did a lot of work up on the offensive linemen, especially the guards. I knew who I was looking for when I went, and Austin Jackson is one guy that I wanted to talk to because he had, he's banged up because he gave, had an operation where he like saved his sister's life, and so it put him back. He was out. And then I wanted to see what kind of shape he was in and what weight he was at, what weight he was playing at. And sure, you figure most of these bigger guys, they kind of lose weight. And as you go and you got to put like 20, 30 pounds back on. And then he said he was playing at 320, or he was at 320, weighed in at 320. I said, where'd you want to play? He said about 322. I said, where teams want you? He said about 320. I said, well, this looks like you're doing pretty good. But it looks like he needs to gain some strength, and he said that. This is one guy that could play left tackle or right tackle. He's more, kind of muscle memoried for left tackle, and he said that. A lot of these guys, I'll tell you, they were very honest. And I'm not just talking Trey Adams when he said he wished he had a bigger dick. But unless you missed that one, because that was the greatest.
I don't know if that goes down in the plus column or not, but it was fucking funny as hell.
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard that.
I was really interested in him going in because I really wanted to see what's up with him and his health and how he's going to be. He didn't change my mind about where to draft him and if that's where it's at or anything like that. But it was just funny of all people for him to be the guy that does that because I was paying such firm attention to him. But the one kid that was a really interesting cat. I think he's going to be on the Bears' radar, and I think he's a perfect fit for our line. The question is that can we shuffle our line to fit what he does best? So, but this Logan Stenberg kid out of Kentucky, right? I sat and talked to him the entire time. So it was,
and the Bears interviewed him too, right?
Yeah, they did. And this kid. Look, so, I mean, we talked for, I don't know, pretty much the whole 15 minutes he was up there. I didn't go anywhere else. I was 80% of his questions. And, dude, he's just a very focused beast. A little more tougher than mentally, less personality than Kyle Long, but that same kind of grit as Kyle Long. Mm-hmm. But he's a left guard. He said he'd like to, he's like, I can play left or right. I could play a little center. It would take me some figuring out to get center. But he said I could figure out right guard, but I, go to my left. And I was happy that he was honest about that, that he wasn't like this. So I was thinking, if Whitehair could swing over, if he's got the ability at that point, because we've tried him all over the place now. We don't know where his best is going to be. And then let him go in. I think he's a day one starter. You can get in the third, fourth, fifth round area. So that's one guard. Austin Jackson is kind of my other guy there for the offensive tackles. And they really stood out for me. But some of these other guys, I tell you what, I ripped them right off the board. I mean, there was a lot of guys that had like questions and circles and all this stuff around them and their personality and their love for the game and all this. And they got up there and I was like, yep, that was definitely the case. I was like, and other guys, you're up there and you're like, you are. I mean, they're like, I don't know how they got through school, right? Maybe they joined the class early. I don't know how they got out of high school. I'm like, I don't know how you would get a playbook. I don't know how they would do it. I mean, they're just, you ask them a couple questions and they don't even know. And you ask, I tell you, one pet peeve of mine was, you ask them what teams they've met with, don't know. I'm like, how do you not know? They're NFL teams. You know what I'm saying? That would be
Is it
very
just like a thing where they don't say, or they're just really that stupid?
Everybody says if you ask for a particular team, they'll go yes or yeah. But other guys are like, yes, official. Yeah, I mean they're just snap on it, and other guys are like, I can't remember. Did you meet with the Bears? I really don't remember. I'm like, and they're not playing stupid. They're just are stupid. They're just stupid. Right. I mean, it's people coming off.
It ain't no game. It's reality.
It's just there's smart people, there's average people, there's dumb people. Some of these players are dumb, and I think it's worth noting that. I think that's worth noting. You see these guys jump off the charts and all these physical capabilities and stuff, but if your mental capabilities are not there, it doesn't matter. You won't translate to the game because you won't know what to do. That's a very important part of these interviews and grinding them out. And that's why you see a lot of these guys fall, because you're like, why would they ever fall? They played good in college. They have athletic attributes that are all crazy on the combine and all that, and then they slide, and you're like, oh, what happened here? And I'm like, they're dumb as a box of rocks. They would never get an NFL playbook. And this is just where teams say it's not worth it, or if it worth it in the 6th round, not the 2nd where they're valued.
Well, and I think that the thing that fans forget is that, this is a job interview. I mean, and the teams are not just looking for if their physical attributes can translate to the field. I mean, they have to think about, what kind of human beings are these people going to be? Is our, PR department and legal department and everything going to be babysitting these guys as soon as they get, a bunch of money in their bank account and all that sort of stuff. And then, of course, you talk about how smart you have to be. And I think that's the difference between the college game maybe and the pro game, is that D1, these top schools, I mean, I don't know, I think it might have been NFL Brawl, but talking about how they were, you'll have a receiver coach that's basically feeding the plays to the receivers when they're spread out wide. They don't even know the plays. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
They don't know routes. They don't have a route tree. They don't have any of that stuff. It's just, I'm big, I'm fast, and I'm on Alabama, and we're going. I mean, maybe Alabama's not the best example, but those guys seem to know. But like these guys, it doesn't translate what they do in college to the NFL, and they need these guys to be grown up men who take their jobs seriously and are
guys
smart.
From Notre Dame, basically.
Yeah, that's why so many skill positions from Notre Dame just dominate the NFL.
Yeah, it does. We don't have so much of skills, but it's the defensive line, offensive line.
Right. I mean, they are the smarts in the trenches is off the chart from the Dolphins.
It is tight end U. So it is tight end U. And I tell you what, that Cole Kmet's going to be another guy that's going to be just part of that crew. I tell you what, he is impressive to talk to, impressive physically, huge guy. So that's another one. But
Claypool balled out too.
Yes, he did. Now he's a little more raw, so that's something that you're buying a project there. Everybody, he flies up for everybody because you're seeing this, seeing that. He's a tweener. You're not going to know what to do with him. You think, 230, you run like that. He doesn't play like that. He plays 4-5. We watched it. If you watch the Notre Dame, he's not a cooker. He's not blowing past people. He's in contested catches constantly, and that's going to be more prevalent in the NFL. So now it's one thing, you're contested catches against guys that will never even make the NFL. Now you're being contested by the best. And so that's where everybody gets up on Claypool. I was not that high. Notre Dame guy, I always take a domer, but I got him still in like 4th, 5th round.
Well, and also you say that about tight ends. It's like, I don't care if tight ends have a bunch of flat, straight line speed. I mean, how much does that really come into play? You know, how often are tight ends really running routes that's required? As a tight end, it's like you have to use your body position.
Tight ends now, though. Like you get a guy like Albert O with his size that can run like that. If he just kind of refines a couple things, he can be dangerous, man.
One thing I don't understand is why. I know they want to see them in their, tight clothes for whatever reason. Why doesn't the combine happen in pads? Like, to me, I don't care what you can do in a cat suit. I want to see what you can do in pads.
Well, they know that. They got so much film on these guys. I think it's more for some of it's just pure entertainment purposes.
Right, but I mean, you got the film, but I mean, it wasn't Brez just saying that Ohio State, they got the track slanted downhill, and so all the 40 times at Ohio State are fake. Like, the film can be altered. You know what I mean? Like, guys get fed the ball. I mean, they get featured. Certain things are happening.
Yeah, there's science to this, man. That's why you do the combine. There's actually scientific. They have a profile. It's profiling.
I agree. I'm just saying it seems like at this point they would throw the pads on for a couple drills.
Where I think it came down to, Aaron, is in the very beginning, the combine was not that big of a deal. It started about 35 years ago, bounced around a little bit, ended up in Indy for the last 34 years or so. And, back then it was covered by like 3 dudes. And it was just some players running around in their underwear for teams to get an idea. They're really just talking to them, and they're like, they put them through all kind of weird ass tests that don't exist anymore. And and that's just like, how high can you jump? How fast can you do this? Okay. Now I'll figure it. I'll think about it with pads. I'll do the anticipation. But back then, what a lot of it was about is they didn't want to carry all the gear. They didn't want to fly it all in. They didn't want to hassle with all that and bring all the people and do all. It would be like game day for all of these different guys, 100 and some odd people. So it was really about cost effectiveness and logistics, and and really I think that's why they never even did that, and it's just stayed true to the course. And then we've gone through it so much that they can see how it is at the combine, then add pads, and then you see how it ends up. So it is there, but yeah, that's why you can't trust pro days. That's a fact,
Right.
You can't trust pro days. Yeah, it's just stacked box there. That's why the combine is important. When somebody says they want to run at pro day, and I'm like, no shit, come on.
Right.
So
well, one thing I was thinking too is that how teams can request that guys work out at different positions. How does that work?
Yeah, you can. The scouts and whatnot. There's handlers down there from different teams or coaches, and then just a scout will come down, or a team, they'll head up. They're all in the boxes, the GMs and the head coaches and the pro personnel guys, and so they'll call down and they'll say that they want this person to go do this or do that, or do their private little thing with them or something like that. And the guys are happy to do it. There's no real rules. You just got to do the program. You can just say, I don't want to do it. You can. And you can say you want to do it. And if a team wants you to go over and do a different one as a player, you're more than happy to, right? Or you should be. If you said no, well, that's not good. Not good for 32 teams, not just the one. So they can kind of push those things a little bit. It's a very laxed scene. I mean, the whole thing, it's a high pressure cooker for the people at the combine, the guys, but everybody else, it's like, it's chill central. So it's just like, no, make them do that, whatever, I mean, it's the players, and then there's like 50 guys. That's it.
Were there any jackball guys, how these weird media guys get into the Super Bowl media row? Was there anybody that was just like, oh my God, how did this guy get in here? Or what's he doing? He's going around asking everybody stupid questions or anything like that?
No, there was really none of that. It's it's very hard to get credentialed to get into the combine. It's not like the Senior Bowl or these other things. You go through the backgrounds, and I mean, they got it's you don't mess around. They'll bounce you out, and then you'll lose credentials forever, type of thing. And everybody there was very noticeable. It wasn't really any stupid people, and trust me, if there were stupid people there, I would have found them real quick. It's just got like stupid people dar. But it is. I tell you what is kind of funny is that you see these people on their Twitter handles and then on TV, and then you stand next to them, and you're like, okay, well, I didn't see that. You know what I'm saying? It's like when Ian Rappaport is like 4'11".
Yeah, they're all short.
Everybody is. Everybody is. I mean,
Rappaport Schefter's tiny. He's built, but he's tiny.
yeah, everybody is. It's either you played in the NFL and now you're like on the NFL Network about it, or you're a very tiny person. That's just the way it was. So a lot of these people had bigger, I had bigger thoughts about, but everybody was really, really, really small. That's about the best thing I could bring out of that. Because you got these gigantic players, and then they're holding the microphone literally on their tiptoes, is fully stretched, and I'm like, this is funny. So that was about the only thing.
They don't give them boom stands, the little guys, huh?
No, they got their little iPhone up, and it was just funny. But it was nice.
Selfie sticks.
Yeah, it was funny to see like some OG ladies like Susie Colbert and then who's our gal from Chicago, the blonde that's I hate to say it like that, the blonde, that sounds so misogynistic, but she's a national reporter.
Dales?
Yeah, Stacey Dales. She was there. She was on it. She was at that Nagy press conference, and she gets her questions out. It's you got to chime them in. Pow! It's not like they says, "Oh, Stacey, yeah, ask me questions." It's not like that. You gotta perfectly time it out. In the last word he says, she's great at it. She is good at her job. Very impressed with her.
What did you think? Just to sort of circle back to the presser, what did you think of what Nagy said? Because he's the one thing about him, and no matter what, people's opinions of him have morphed to, and I think there's some anti-Nagy people and blah blah blah. He's engaging. I mean, he has a charisma, and I mean, you talked about him looking right in your eyes. But what did you think about what he said, and and what he talk a little bit about his charisma and whatnot?
It's from when he first got here to now. It's a big difference, and he is like what you're saying. The charisma is real, and so either he's totally bought in, like he's very decisive in what he's saying, or he's one of the best salesmen you ever met in your life, right? Because you believe him. And he just looks you straight in the eye, and he talks you hear him, he talks with passion. He shoots his words at you. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't have a lot of him and hawing. He does a little bit. I rocked his boat just a touch, and then he just kind of came with it. He gave me and we're fired up about it, which is this deflect mode. But that's why I kind of went in that way. I wanted to rock him off a little bit because I want to get him off that pre-scripted thing he does. But he's very deliverable. I mean, he does that. Now, Nagy's got tells. And I pick up on Pace's tells. I pick up on his tells. I know when they flirt on something, or they usually say something and now they're not. I've picked up on these all the way. Now, just keep in mind, like with Mitch, Mitch is on your roster. He's paid already. You can't do anything with that. Okay, you can't throw him under the bus. He's already on your roster. Right? Why? How would that even happen? Why? Like Gruden is the anti this, right? He's like pretty much shopping Carr since he's been there with what he says, and even when it came down to this year, he was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with him. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. And then Mayock, who normally would come in and settle all that kind of rumor stuff or whatever, didn't. So that's the Carr thing is a real thing, but with Trubisky, they keep reinforcing, because I will tell you what, they're a little bit smarter than what meets the eye. We feel like we get taken advantage of on trades, or we don't make the best deals, or we give Mike Glennon all this money. We see all these things. But let me tell you what, parade Mitch around like he's your show pony still. Why? Because if you have a chance at trading him, you're going to get a higher value if you value him. If you think he's on the market and pushing him out there, or you feel like he's suspendable, people are going to feel like he's suspendable, offer you nothing for him. So they keep the value on him high. Also, another thing, if you're saying Mitch is your guy, oh no, we're, on this and that, we're going to get somebody to push him. But see, that's the key. And this is what makes me think car, because they said, we're going to get somebody to push Mitch. Mitch can do this. We're expecting him to step up a little bit. We want the playbook in his hand this year, really getting, okay. All of that would just be one hell of a recipe for you to sandbag lowering a trade value on another guy you want, maybe Carr, who would fit for the system good, right? So you're acting like you don't need him. That's the best power position to sell from. And
right.
So they're doing a good job. Even if it's paying a free agent that's out on the market right now, whoever it could be. Maybe if Dalton, if he's cut, Mariota, a lot of these names make me want to throw up, but you think about it and it's like, okay, if you're you better be selling Mitch. You better be talking about the guy's going to come in and be Mitch's backup because you're going to have to pay him. Now, what do you want to say? You want a guy to come in and start and then Mitch back him up? That's what you want to go out and say? Then you just added $5 million to what that guy's going to get paid. And everybody says, well, you can go somewhere else. Really? Give me a place where Carr would go. Like, we can go run it through your heads and think, where would Carr go? Where's the spot? Maybe the Colts, but the Colts are really in a position to go ahead and draft. And, what are they gaining there? They should really bring up a quarterback and do that. They got the picks.
Right. Well, and the Colts are paying Jacoby Brissett like $21 million.
Yeah, they can get out of that.
Season.
They can get out of that. Yeah, that's the deal. So it's just, and they got the money. So you can, but it's like.
I can see that one place I could see with Carr that's kind of not been talked about a lot is if things were to break down in Dallas with the Prescott negotiations, I could see Carr ending up there, back with Amari Cooper. That's one thing that's crossed my mind where I was like, well, you never know. Just because, I still am not real sure how Dallas is going to get that done with Prescott. I know they can structure it. And I don't know if they should get it done with Prescott, to be quite honest. But
I don't know either. After what you've had, they had all the tools and you didn't get anywhere. It's one of those things. Now,
right. How much better can he play?
I think that's it. It's just what we've seen out of him in college, and then he had to change his game to go over to the pros. Who knows where he's at? I don't think you're going to re-evolve 3 times. So you're kind of in a bad scene. These guys need to. I don't know what they're going to do, but a good question is like, and let's say we were able to trade Mitch out for a 7th and gain back the $5 million or whatever, a 6th, a 5th, or whatever. We're clear of quarterbacks. We got no quarterbacks. Would you give Dak Prescott whatever he's wanting or whatever he's going to get to come play in Chicago, right? And see. And that makes me think it's kind of hard for Dallas to do it too. It just seems like it would get done. It would be the natural thing. And then that when I heard,
though, if you could afford it,
I wouldn't.
You want to kick the tires on that?
Not for $30+ million. Hell no. If for some reason they had a crazy amount of cap room, maybe. But if you're talking, I know you could structure it this, that, and the other. But I don't know. I think Dak has kind of peaked. Like, it's not like he has no weapons. It's not like he has no offensive line.
We've never had a quarterback peak.
That's fine. I just don't. I don't know. It's something about it I don't see.
Well, we may have had Mitch peak. We don't know, but I'm just saying we never. I think Dak would be kind of interesting here.
Better than what we got. I think what you need to go down. Dak and Carr are kind of like right there on whatever rankings and stats. They're always right there, like 9, 10. And so they're both better than what we get them credit for. But Dak was always behind a good line. He had a great running back. He had some good weapons. And not that we don't have some weapons, but we have an unproven line. Well, it's proven. just the wrong way, right? And then, so we need a whole different scheme, and that's a big part of it. And that was probably the biggest thing, and a lot of people don't talk about, and you haven't seen it all over Twitter and all that, and there's not really any threads or pods aren't big on it. The one thing I got out of the press conference is the Bears don't have an offensive scheme, period. There is no playbook. Right now, they're like, yeah, I hope Mitch is in the playbook. What playbook? You don't have one. You just said you don't. And so now you got a run coordinator, an offensive coordinator, a passing coordinator, but you're going to call the plays. And you think all that's going to work out and you're going to put it together in 3 months when we're totally down. I mean, the new CBA is going to even be worse than this one, but you only get your players for it's such a small period of time. And then you're going to hit preseason, which nobody plays. And then you're going to go to, you're going to stay home for Hallis Hall. I hope that's a plus and not a negative but there was always something to go and sequester your guys down out of college. They're there, focus, live like like you're back in college. Don't live like you're a millionaire, grind it out. Now they're going home. We're going home. I mean, there's a recipe for disaster there. And
you really think they scrapped the playbook though, or it's just going to be, let's see what this new coaching staff spin on it is? I mean, he was talking about Mitch being like 202, and now if you're going to reset that clock and actually stick with Mitch, we're in trouble.
Yeah, I whenever you read it, he keeps saying, well, we're going to sit down. Well, we're going to sit down and really go through it. Well, we're each of us going to sit down and we're going to mold and we're going to gel and we're going to really figure out what fits.
I think they've been doing that already, though. I mean, he talked about them going through the scheme eval and already having. So they've done some of it already, but I agree with you, Brez. I think it's a strip down, and I think they don't know who the quarterback is going to be, and that's what I got out of Nagy's presser is that he's not settled on Mitch. Mitch has a lot to prove to him, and I think he put out some pretty pointed, sharp barbs, in saying that he needs to show me more. Because he was
Pace and some of that stuff with the processing.
Absolutely. Pace and him were on completely different pages. Like I thought that was really stark.
My question is how do you build a playbook when half your roster is still in flux? You don't know who your guard's going to be. You don't know who your tight end's going to be. You don't know who your wide receiver is going to be, and you're very questionable at quarterback. So how do you build a playbook out of that mess?
There's a lot of what you're saying here, Jared, is true, because if you remember, Nagy was building plays. He said it specifically for Turbo. He said, there's a plays in the book for Turbo. There's plays in the book for Cordarrelle Patterson. We have built plays for this, plays for that. And, so he was flirting with that, negotiating players to the concept. And now he says he's going to do it more. He needs to really focus in on building a scheme to the players that they have. So very good question, Jared, because if you don't know who your quarterback is truly going to be yet, I think they have their eyes set on someone already, and they're going to go all in, brawls deep in this guy.
Yes, sir.
That's what they do. I mean, they'll overpay the hell out of them. They already, it's what they do. So, which is kind of refreshing. Everybody goes back and really bitches about the Mike Glennon payday, but I'm like, this is the opposite of what the Bears normally did, right? I mean, normally they would give everybody peanuts and then you got peanuts, but now they're like, yeah, I want this guy up, whatever. Okay, all right, yeah, okay, you got it. I'd rather have that going on than the Bryce.
Well, and that to me, like what you said there is evidence that Ted really is backseat now. He's not. I mean, I felt like back when Angelo was in charge, and it was like Ted was really, sort of, I don't know if we can afford this, kind of thing, and sort of informing a lot of the money decisions. Where now I feel like they have put complete trust in Pace and Nagy.
It's not Dalton, man. I'm good.
It's totally different now, and and I think why, and it's always the GM and Ted back then. And see, Angelo took pride in, and he was too prideful, in the sense that he liked to find guys and in the later rounds keep them on low deals and grind them out and find guys and free agency. They could come in on a 1-year deal and then, and have a good season and not have to go back and pay them. Like, he liked that. Like, a guy would come in, do great, and you're like, oh, that guy's awesome. Bye-bye. And you're like, why? And he's like, I just got a free rental. What are you talking about? He took pride in that. That's the wrong pride. Taking pride is the biggest problem. And it's Pace's problem, too. He gets this prideful factors, and he wants to replicate stuff. Stop doing it. Nagy and Pace, I've seen they learn, though. They do learn. They learn the hard way, but they're slow, man. It's like, come on, dude. Figure it out. Boom. It's terrible. Quit doing that. Go on. And, you're just screaming at them. And people say we're couch cowboys or, coaches or whatever, GMs, all this stuff. But, dude, some of this stuff is common sense. I mean, it's just common sense. I mean, you put a poll out there, it's 90% one way, and that would end up being the right decision. I mean, it's very rare when it's like a landslide, stupid move. And then like the Mike Glennon, I think it was you wanted to be a Bears fan and say, oh, okay, hopefully this will go good. But if it was right before it happened, you're like, hey, they're going to give Mike Glennon this amount of money. What do you think about it? It would have been like, no, don't do that.
I wanted them to keep Hoyer back then, man. But
yeah, at least it's.
What do you think? Go ahead, guys.
Go ahead, Jared.
I was going to ask you, today's quarterback carousel of the day was Andy Dalton. The rumors were all out about him. I've got the strange feeling that's just a lot of smoke for smoke's sake. I don't believe that that's a possibility at all. What do you guys think?
I think that all comes from the Bengals. Absolutely. This is the Bengals floating that out there because it's easy. It's easy to say the Bears are interested in my player, and it gets everybody talking. It's the same thing that Twitter jockeys do. They drop the Bears in their tweet, and all of a sudden, it's hot and it's moving and it's trending because it's the same thing. So if the Bengals want to float the idea that there's a trade value for Dalton when they know full well that they just have to cut him, this is the best way to do it, is to say that the Bears are interested in him. And also, they've floated the idea that the Belichick is interested. You've heard that rumor that Belichick is interested in Dalton. I'm like, come on. Like, Belichick could find, a guy in the 5th round that could outplay Andy Dalton. I mean, that's just my take on it.
Yeah, but it could become, it would be smart if it was come out of Hallis Hall to tell everybody that you're interested in everybody. Throw them off the scent. You know what I mean? It could be coming from there, too. We don't really know.
It's
very
possible.
Much so. Yeah, here's how I play it, right? And and then Lazor, who's got Laser, that's Laser. He's just came from there. All of his buddies are there. Everybody's there. He talks with them all. That's how it goes. Everybody knows everybody, by the way. I mean, people act like these are foreign lands and everybody's on an island and you like communicate through a ship in a bottle or something like that. But everybody knows everybody. I mean, you're 1 degree of separation or you already work with the dude. Everybody's texting everybody, calling everybody. It's as convoluted as you would ever believe. So the whole free agency pocket tampering, that's all a joke. Trust me, from a guy that's seen it live and in person going, I mean, dude, everybody knows everybody. So you talk about it and it's a game. So the Bears in this sense, they would be like, oh yeah, what are they saying over there? Oh, they're trying to get a market for Dalton. That's cute. Yeah, they're probably going to cut him, right? Yeah. Well, there's no way they can carry that contract. They're going to have to move on. They're going to have, the stud in there. So you're going to number 1 overall pick. You're not going to back them up. They're not going to keep them. So it's like, if you're trying to trade someone, it would mean that you would ultimately mean you were going to try to maybe keep them too. That's the only way you can get trade value out of them, right? There's no way they're keeping them. So there's no way there's a trade value. And it's even been rumored up to a second, which is hilarious. So this is how it goes. Blazer says that. He says, oh, yeah, they're talking about trying to get anything they can from them. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. We'll help out the Bengals too and some of your friends. we'll tell them that we're kind of interested too. We'll tell a couple reporters and we'll sit up there because really we have a different trade prospect right now. And we want to feel that we're interested in different people besides the only one because we don't want to get trade rape when it comes down to the car deal. So yeah, we're gonna float it that we'd trade for Dalton. We're gonna we'll do it for somebody else. We're gonna put our names on some different free agents that are out there when really their eyes are set. I think 100% their eyes are set. I think it's already done.
I hope so. God, I hope so. I hope that Brady is already in the pocket to the Raiders and Carr is already here because that's what I want to have happen. But it's so easy to make those stories true if you want them to be true. You pick up the phone, you talk to Ryan Pace and go, "Hey, what do you think about Andy Dalton?" Next thing you know, it's a true story that the Bengals have talked to the Bears about Andy Dalton. That's all that has had to happen. Like, people act like it's like they went into a secret bunker and had, like, some kind of a clandestine meeting about them. It's like, it didn't have to happen. None of that had to happen. I mean, it's just a very, they're, like you said, all the texting. I mean, I can't imagine the crazy text chains that there are in the NFL,
Yeah, here's how it's gonna go. I haven't pinpointed it yet on the Raiders free agent that they'll grab, but I'll get it soon. But here's the moves. Brady's gonna go to Tennessee. Bears are gonna bring in Carr. I don't know what they'll do with Trubisky. I'm hoping that that's part of – it would make a lot of sense for that to be part of the trade. Trade him, give him to Gruden, right? Gruden likes him, and then he'll have, like, all the quarterbacks that failed out from that draft class on his team and then can go draft the quarterback,
Right.
He can go get Love or he can get whatever he wants. He can literally get anybody he wants besides Joe. So – I think that works to him. Then also that gives Gruden his guy, which he's always wanted. He's wanted that since he got there. He wanted his rookie. He wanted to mold him. He wanted to be his guy. So that's what's going after. They're going after a quarterback in the draft. They'll have to bring in a veteran of some sort to be able to play through. And Gruden is prideful enough to think maybe he could take Trubisky and make something great out of him, and that would be the ultimate revenge back for these trades and flip-flops and all that. But whenever you make a blockbuster trade like Mac, that means that your organizations working together is pretty good. That's pretty good. They really stuck. That's only fan perspective. They look at it like they both got a good deal. They look like they got a deal done. That's interesting to you. So I know there's a pathway you can actually transact because there's a lot of teams and GMs that cannot transact together. It doesn't vibe. It doesn't matter what you do. So if there's a team you trade with a lot, watch. That'll be an open door that goes back and forth. That's why I think there's a lot of heat to that Carr deal, just like the Bears with the Panthers over the years. How many times? So many players transitioning back and forth, free agency or draft. It was just kind of that way. Now, Tennessee, Brady, Carr here. I believe Tannehill to New England because, again, it's a dick measuring contest, and I think that Belichick would just be like, all right, well, I'll grab this kid that busted out of Miami, had one good season with an amazing running back. I'll bring him up here, and I'll have him outdo Brady. That's fine. I'll get your Tennessee guy. I'll bring him here. We'll win the Super Bowl. We'll beat your ass in the playoffs, and then what? That's what will happen. I swear to God. It's parity. So who else will push that? The NFL. 32 teams will be like, that sounds good. That'll bring in viewership, bring in dollars. You guys should do that because they care more about that than they actually do the ring.
That's a good point for the rivalry too. Like the whole, I can feel that.
What Definitely. Do you think so what's the plan B then for the Bears? Foles?
I think there is, I've said this 1,000 times. I think you all heard me, but Pace always has a plan A, plan B, plan C, and plan D. He is that guy. He has that on every board. Some GMs use this. He does it at fault. So I believe Carr is his plan A. I believe that Dalton is around his C or D. I think that plan B is that they would draft and bring in a third. So whoever that would be, could that be Mariota? Could be. If Mariota is not expensive, I could see that. I have zero ties to them to Bridgewater. I think with his injuries, they don't do injuries. They don't do red flags. Pace does. He just doesn't do them. So I don't see that. But I could see a Jordan Love if he fell far enough. And we could talk. And you had mentioned it to me, B, about Hurts. I can't see the Bears drafting Hurts. I just can't see it. If he fell, I just can't see it. He might be the next guy. To me, he's Dak Prescott. I think that's his ceiling. So
it's a pretty good ceiling for the Bears, though.
It really, if you can meet your ceiling here. A sad thing about our prospects that we do draft is that we have a very hard time working up players. We really let a lot of players down. They don't hit their crescendo when they're with us. We really have a hard time bringing them up and getting them going in the NFL. It's a very sad thing. And it takes almost all these guys way too much time. Like, Kyle Fuller, look where we drafted him at in that position. Okay. So you're looking at this guy. You need to come in and start right away. But we put him in that position and we were ready to cut him after year 2, weren't we? We were like, this guy sucks. And then about, contract year, he catches fire. And I'm like, can y'all do this? Like, I don't know, rookie year or something? Because you got drafted in the top 15. You should be starting like Gonzo. So it's so late. All these guys end up just kind of passing through and becoming busts. And, and with quarterbacks, this has gone on for 50 years.
Yeah, well, I think some of that may be, the culture, because there's a certain very impatient culture to the fan base. And, where it's like we decide a guy's trash really quickly, or we decide that we are going to stick by him through thick and thin really quickly. And it's all usually very just totally nebulous reasons why, you know what I mean? We just, and you see it throughout the fan base. Guys just like guys, you're seeing it right now with Nick Kwiatkowski. You know what I mean? It's like he's got the right name, he's got the right look, he's a grinder, and we love him. But 2 years ago, everybody was ready to throw this guy off a bridge because he can't cover anybody on third down. But now he comes in and we've got this narrative about him for 7 games. He's like this, this hero, and now it's like, yeah, pay him whatever you want and let whoever else walk, and it's just funny how that happens. And one thing I will say about what I like about Pace and Nagy is that I do feel like they don't get enough credit for changing the culture of the organization and making it a top flight organization and not just like a football museum that happens to have a team, which I think is the way the organization was run for a long time.
Fox does some of that too, though. I think that's what he was brought in to do. Just kind of get rid of the BS, make it professional again.
I think he kind of did, but I also think that he kind of, brought in some of his own mess. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but I think he paved the way for Nagy to be able to come in and do what he did.
For sure, because he was, at that time, Fox was the highest profile, most winning coach that the Bears had ever hired. They'd never even hired a coach that had previous experience like him before. Again, that just goes to show you the mentality of this team. It's like, it really is. It's, you got the field museum, you got the planetarium, and you got the football museum down there on the museum campus. And they happen to play games on Sunday. And it's like, you know what? No, we want to be a team, a real team that like competes every year for a Super Bowl. And I think that's what Pace and Nagy really want to do. And I hope that we give them the chance, because I think that one thing Nagy said that was really important was you look at the time that Coach Reed came into Kansas City. It was a while ago. It wasn't like 2 years ago. They didn't expect him to be in the Super Bowl in 2 seasons, right? But we do. I mean, we we have the audacity to expect
These guys are young too,
to
Pace and
deliver
Nagy.
the Super Bowl, and it's like they had to, draft guys, find guys, bring in a veteran, figure that out, then get rid of the veteran, then get lucky with Mahomes, then develop Mahomes. I mean, it's a process, and it's hit and miss, and you go up and down, but the Bears fans, we just don't have the patience for it, or something.
Nah, it's true, but I think it's about a culture, and culture ain't easy, and that's the
Right.
definition. I mean, so are they gaining the culture? Are they still pretty young, so they still need to learn how to create culture just a little bit better and better? Because that's what needs to get looked at. Whenever I say culture, what's the first team you guys think of?
Patriots.
All right, so what's the second team you would think?
Steelers.
All right, so and you look at them, and what about you, Jared? What second team? Who you got?
As far as culture,
Yeah.
that's a tough one. I think the Patriots are the standard, but as far as there's such a drop from the first team, from that team to any other team. I mean, maybe Philadelphia.
I think of the Bears just because I'm a fan. I've seen what they've come from. There's definitely a culture there.
Yeah, but like a culture is a mindset where winning is a thing, and then you're just keeping a winning culture. We don't have a winning culture lately, so. But and this is what's missed out on. And when you think about it, there's a lot of teams missing. People don't even think. Look at the Seahawks. They brought John Snyder in. You know how many times they haven't gone to the playoffs? Once. Yeah. And they even went when they were 7-9. He gets them in, and they this year, okay, everybody picked them to finish last in the division. Look at them. Went to the playoffs. They're just always winners. There's just a winning culture. It doesn't matter the roster. They win.
They were 3 inches from being the division champions and having the bye and making San Francisco go to the wild card.
Exactly. For the team that everybody picked to finish last. I mean, right. And they won a Super Bowl during that run, and they came one Marshawn Lynch run away from winning the second one back to back. Okay, that is a guy that brought culture to that team, and they do cool stuff. I mean, look at bringing Marshawn Lynch back. And what was their answer for that? He was just like, hey, if you're not doing that, really, and you're going to talk – John Snyder said this straight up to me. He was just like, if you're not doing that, then don't even act like you're changing culture or doing anything for your team or for your fans, And he's like, it's not a hard thing to do that, and, that was it. There's no re-signing Marshawn. It was novelty, but it works. It's culture. And so teams need to get this through the heads. I mean, you have to change it all up. And
that's the thing. These players come in now, and the only thing that they have to aspire to is 85, and that's impossible.
No,
it's like. But the minute they get here, I think it's hard because it gets kind of shoved down their throats, and guys start to resent it after a while. Yeah.
Look at Seattle, New England, the Saints. They're all teams. The Steelers. What do they all have though? A freaking quarterback, a franchise quarterback.
Right.
And continuity at the top.
And here's all I'm saying is that all right. During that time, we've went through some QBs. Maybe we just drafted the wrong one every time. Don't have the best, recruiters. But I really go back with this. I mean, I'm back into all the Joey Harrington days and everything else. And I'm like, all right, what happened? Did you draft the wrong one? Or can you not work them up? It's one of the two, right? And you don't always know the full story. Joey Harrington, to me, always felt like he got a raw deal in the Lions and they killed him. I just felt that way because he had so much potential. But then I talked to Will, who was in his draft class, and he was like, the guy's a fucking idiot. He hated him. So I was like, well, maybe there's something to that too. So I don't know. It was just kind of it's just funny how it all comes down to be. But linebackers and quarterbacks not normally the best friends. But I always go back to that, and I'm like, Grossman, Orton, which wasn't a first round pick, but then it's like we always have a guy that's supposed to be something, and then it doesn't metastasize. I mean, it's just always been the case. Cutler, whatever, it's just never gets there. Cutler is a top, first round pick. We traded 2 first round picks to get him. That guy is now 3 first round picks in. That should be stud. Okay, that should be like what you trade to get freaking the guy Wilson out of the Seahawks. 2 first round picks, bring something like it, and then so what's he do? Nothing. I mean, I love Cutler, but they got us bupkis. It's like we disintegrate them. So,
I think Pace. One thing I guess I want to appreciate it more. I feel like we should appreciate more is that he's a guy that is going to keep swinging. Like he has his convictions and he's going to keep taking his cuts. And at the end of the day, like I don't know if that's sometimes in some ways there's more to say for that than trying to pussyfoot and be safe and just because ultimately we need something that's going to break the chain of whatever that is. I mean, because historically it just seems like there's teams that for whatever reason can't have certain things. And the Bears, we can have running backs and linebackers, but we can't have wide receivers and quarterbacks, And it's like, you just you got to do something that changes that. I mean, the Giants forever really didn't have quarterbacks. And then, they got Eli Manning. I mean, and, he's not like, you could argue all you want about him, but the guy won 2 Super Bowls. He'd be the mayor of Chicago if he did that here. So something's got to happen.
Quarterback that makes players around him better.
And that's right. But that's what I hope is that Pace is not being the stubborn, I hope Mitch proves me right guy, and he's being that was plan A. Plan A didn't work. It's time to swing for the fences on a plan B because time is short. And I think the other thing that I love what Nagy said was that he knows that 8-8 sucks, and he knows that this fan base in the city deserves better. And I think that was cool because that's what everybody's feeling. We all feel like they went 3-13 last year. We don't feel like they went 8-8. That's the shittiest feeling 8-8 of all time. It's not like a Jeff Fisher 8-8. And it's just it is what it is. So that's what I'm hoping is that they have the balls to do something because if they really trot out Mitch and Keenum. It's gonna be a long. It's gonna be a long season.
It sure is. But I'll leave you guys with this thought. Okay, it's this. It's all right. So keep in mind that Nagy and Pace, this is a job to them first. Mm-hmm. They are Bears care and Bears fans way down the line. This is their job. So now you look at it. How can they secure their job going into 2021? You would have to think about that every year for a minute because this is a crucial point. Everybody knows this. I bet they've been put on alert. If they go into it with Mitch and some schlub, whatever, Keenum or these guys, and they both put up the results that we feel that they would attain, okay? You say you go 8-8 again, you gave them a rip and you go 8-8, you're dead. Right? And if you now look at this, if you go to the draft and you draft a kid, you move up, you can do whatever, you score gold in the second, and you catch fire with it. You got a new rookie quarterback. You can formulate a new scheme. Even if you came in on the last part of the year and won 5 straight games for you, hot, you're on for 2021, right? You are. Nobody's got film on them. You're going to hold them back, and then you're going to light them up, right? That's why they did that with Mitch. You hold your quarterbacks back. You're like, why are you doing that? He needs playing time. Nobody's got any film on him. Stick the guy on the end, let him rip 5 games because then my job is secure for the next year and maybe the next 2 because you're seeing a little something. This is that year for them, so a rookie would do that. Also, if you trade for Derek Carr, a seasoned, statistically, he looks good. right? So you trade with that guy. It's a no-brainer. He's got 3 years left on his contract. In a sense, that buys you 3 years. So you buy a rookie, you got 3 years. You get Carr, you got 3 years. You keep Trubisky, and you bring in some schlub veteran that can't get you into the playoffs. You're fired. So that's why I don't look at it like there's so many options here that everybody else sees. If they pick one of those other options, they better be praying every night because they're doomed. If you bring in Carr and you go 9-7, it's like, okay, that sucked, man. But, get it going next year. I know we changed quarterbacks. You bring in a rookie. He's like, yeah, he's getting there. Next year we got it. You bought yourself a year. And then who knows? Maybe you do trigger it. So if they don't do either one of those and they have a bad year, they're fired. So they're not dumb enough to put themselves in position that they would allow Mitchell Trubisky to have their jobs holding it in his hands.
Agree.
You know who's got a lot of options? The brawlnetwork.com's got a lot of options. Lots of options. How was your Sunday?
Yeah,
I got to ask you before you leave.
Big deal.
Yeah, it was. We put in a lot of work on that. I tell you what, I thought I had it all. I thought I had it all delegated out. And then you got to jump in the ninth inning, kind of working all that stuff out and get it in there. And a lot goes into those sites. A lot of moving parts. 40, 50 pages of sites, and you got more pouring on it. It's got to be expanded, capable. There's a lot going on, but a good thing to look forward to is a marketplace that'll go on there here soon. Working that, I already have the data built for all that, and then sort of allow fans from every fan base to get on there and put on their items, and somebody can buy it, you can sell it, or you can just trade it for another thing. So that'll kind of give us a swap shop, like a Facebook marketplace of sorts, where it doesn't cost you nothing to do it. You work with the other fan, and you go straight through it. I mean, that's it. If somebody's got terrible ratings on there, obviously don't do business with them. Great ratings, I feel pretty good about that. So that's kind of a great medium, and just for our perspective, that's a lot of people coming on the site, clicking. Maybe they'll come over and check out the tailgate while they're out there swapping some Bears gear, right? And ultimately, there will be the applications go out for Android and for Apple. It would have took a little time, would have pushed us over in free agency time to have all those ready, so we'll just do them on the fly. And, we'll be putting all the major sports on there. I mean, we're about a year away, guys. I mean, a year ago, we were about thinking about covering all the sports, all the football sports, and boom, here we are. And so next year, I will tell you, we'll be pushing closer to 300 pods of covering football, basketball, baseball, NHL, and even getting some other stuff from wrestling and all the other stuff that goes on to it. So it'll be a big year, but that site is the king, and it will continue to expand and expand and expand. It's got a forum on there. So, if people get a little sick and tired of talking about ball on Twitter, worried about getting suspended if you say a different word here or there, or threaten somebody's life, that's no big deal. You're going to get heated every once in a while. We'll have what's called a real safe haven where you can, kind of have heated words and they're not met with your Twitter doom, right? So we'll have some fun with that too. So those are all great things that are building, and it'll be kind of a platform so that we can all, in a sense, have all the resources we want. We can go talk to people. We can, if you need information like about a different team, you really want to, like the other day on the timeline, somebody was very interested in how the Raiders feel about Carr and all this and all that trade. We wanted that inside information. Somebody that's really in there. Who do you know? I don't know a Raiders fan, but we got the Raiders Brawl. So it'd be nice just to go to that site for the fans, and then they can just pop over and go drop a question to Raiders fans right in there, right in the forum. Boom, and they'll answer and give them all their opinions, and then they can go back. People like that. So it'll be kind of nice to have a nest that we can go to, chill out, and and then we can jump back and forth to Twitter and Facebook and all the other stuff. But it's a very good site. It's ever expanding. We're working on it every single day, and it's only the start.
Cool, man. Well, we're excited to be a part of it, and we always appreciate you coming on. We appreciate the opportunity, definitely, and really cool that you come on and share your knowledge and your experience about the combine.
Yeah, I wish we got a little more, but we got some weeks and weeks. We'll be glad to jump back on, and we'll have some more as we lead up to free agency, because that'll be a different one. I'll try to get some inside stuff. So
Nice.
I do. I'll come on and pop on right before we hit into free agency. We'll talk about that a little bit. Maybe we'll drop some juicy ones right here, and you guys can break them out here. So we'll get back on, and we'll do some good. But you guys are doing great. It's one of the best shows out there. You guys got good traction. So I'm really happy you guys had me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for joining us.
Sure, man.
Thanks,
for joining us,
Have a
Mike.
good night.
Bye-bye.
There it is. The El Presidente.
Good stuff, man. That's really cool, man. I couldn't even imagine having that access at the combine. Like, that'd be a blast.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I think kudos to him for jumping out and, firing off questions like that. I mean, that's, I don't think he's done that before.
I don't think he's ever been shy. I don't think shy is his vocabulary.
No, absolutely not. But I mean, it's not easy to jump out there and put yourself out there and you freeze up at. I mean, hell, people freeze up doing podcasts, I mean, imagine, especially when somebody looks you in the eye like that, you're real, close to them. And I mean, that's got to be unnerving. So that's pretty cool. It's awesome to be, sort of loosely associated with Bridge. And if people haven't had the chance to check out the tape stuff he's been doing online, pretty cool.
Bridges breakdowns.
Yeah, Bridges breakdowns are happening. So, follow
An NFL
that.
guy breaking down tape. I'm kind of about that, especially when they're not like proclaiming.
Guys who really know what they're doing breaking down tape. What a concept.
Different.
So yeah, it's a new one. But it's pretty cool. Everybody should listen to NFL Brawl. They had Chad Reuter on the other day. They had Andrew Brandt on. They just got guys coming on left and right. Obviously they got the connects and he talks about John Schneider. John Schneider was on the other day and really, candid interviews, so cool stuff. Obviously Sunday was exciting, to be a part of. Man. Yeah, it felt like, it felt like a launch, so that was fun, so it's, it feels like, we're part of something, and that's cool. And, we're moving the needle, and I think, we're never, there's definitely not going to be a shortage of Bears content. And we try to, as I said, we try to bring it our own flavor.
We all do it differently. That's what's cool about it, man.
Yeah, like the argument we had about Kwiatkowski.
Yeah, Kwiatkowski. You love Kwiatkowski.
I do love Kwiatkowski.
Do you love him like you love Broniker, though?
Oh, that's a different kind of love, bro. That's a different kind of love.
Here's my thing, and I said it to Brez. I just feel like we love the story. That's just because as a fan of a team that kind of sucks a lot, you have to find things to love. You have to find guys. You have to find your Daniel Bravermans, and
it's better than that, though. I mean,
he is.
The production he put up in the amount of games he played, if you parse it out over what a full season would be at that point, I mean, it would have been a really good season. He's really improved. He it was nice to see him get that opportunity and step up. So the whole thing is you think it's going to continue, and you think he's going to get even better. Especially if you're pulling, you got to factor too. If you're pulling him off special teams, if you're going to give him a big contract, his only focus is going to be linebacker now. So he has the potential of even getting better. So I do understand why people are hyped about him. I really liked what he did last year. Even in preseason, you just saw okay, he's ready. He's in on every play. He definitely stepped up, man.
It was definitely a contract year.
That's true too.
Too. And there's a little bit of me that's kind of skeptical of that as well. But
if it wasn't for injury, it wouldn't have been that much opportunity on a contract year either.
Exactly. But here's my thing: is where was this before? I mean, he's always been a guy that's been okay. I mean, and I'll give.
It was the first year that he really played with Khalil, too. I mean,
correct. And I've been a guy that defended Kwiatkowski, so I'm not a Kwiatkowski hater. But I just think it's funny the way the fan base will flip because, I mean, when he got in there, people were like, "Oh my God, like this is gonna be horrible. Like all he does is get burned on third down." So it wasn't like, "Oh, our boy's getting a shot," like it was like,
Right.
Kwiatkowski, we're screwed. And I don't think that Pace necessarily expected it. I think it was just kind of like he's got seniority, and unfortunately, like Ibunyue and Woods and some of these guys have not really stepped up.
Yeah, Quick got the mic when Danny was out, and that's my biggest issue. I don't want to switch it
Who
up
had
too much,
the
but
who had the best 2 games at linebacker for the Bears? It's Kwiatkowski, and it was not close.
I know.
But I'm pretty sure Quick had the mic when Danny stepped out, right?
Yes.
Right. So by now I really thought Roquan was going to be that guy when we drafted him. Eventually, would take him a little time, but I figured he'd have the mic by now. So hopefully, I'd like to see that going forward. Like
maybe. I mean, he to me seems like the guy that he's the Briggs type of player. Roosevelt Colvin type of guy who's a little more free to fly around on the weak side. Just make plays. He'll be guys that he's gonna pick up. He's a guy that will pick up the tight end if on when the corner blitzes, that kind of thing. So I don't know. I mean, he may not be the Mike, but if we want to talk about it, I mean, I hate the fact that they have to choose between these guys because
definitely it's a tough decision, and kudos to Kwiatkowski for making it a tough decision.
And Pace said that, you know what I mean? But I think if you read in between the lines of what Pace said, I feel like it's another kind of situation where it's like, yep, good for him. He was 4th round pick, he did what he was supposed to do for us as a 4th round pick, and I just don't think they're going to be in on him in the money that he's going to get. I think I
have a hard time supporting a guy that's only played a full season once as a Bear.
Yeah, but they
and it's not because of his talent; it's because of his injury history.
Agreed.
And he's not getting any younger.
Agreed.
So you're going to pay that guy?
But
it only plays linebacker. Has the green dot just like the guy that's becoming a free agent.
I understand that, but he is not. Kwiatkowski is not going to be on special teams if you give him $7 million a year or more. Like that's not going to happen. They can't risk that. So that's sort of irrelevant as far as I'm concerned. The thing about I'm trying to think as if I'm Pace. If money is no object and I'm not worried about it and I don't have to lose Danny, I say give Kwiatkowski the contract. Reward the guy. Keep a homegrown guy because Danny's a free agent. He's not a homegrown guy. I mean, he's become very important to this team, but that's also the reason why I think they keep him is because you just got rid of Amukamara, who was a team leader, your player rep for the Players Association, a veteran leader in the secondary. You got rid of him. You're rid of Taylor Gabriel, who was an energy guy. And we talked about this. Now you're going to get rid of Danny. Like, that's a lot for the defense to replace from a leadership standpoint. And I don't know if Kwiatkowski is. I don't know. Is he that guy? Maybe he's that guy.
I mean, you can have a guy for potentially 16 games who his history says you might have Danny for 8 to 10.
Right.
I mean, that's where I'm at. Like I said, that's where I'm at.
I would say that Danny's last injury was pretty fluky. I would not, I think that the Bears in general have gotten better at managing health.
Conditioning, yeah.
That was another thing that this team was severely deficient in before Pace took over and rebuilt the and that was something that Fox was god awful at. Fox was like stuck in I don't know, like New Rockney era of conditioning.
We'll put some tape on it.
Let's lift some weights and roll that boulder to the top of the hill. And I got a pet monkey that you could chase around this sand pit. Like that was his MO. Like so now, and that's part of why at the end of the day, even though it sucks for the fans, I'm good with them being back at Hallis Hall, because they need all their shit. They got all this. I mean, they got the top of the market, top of the line equipment now and facilities, and they need it all. So, it's good for them to be out, doing that, and then when they want to be inside, time. It's business time. And that's the thing it's like, it's time for the Bears to stop being a traveling circus, a football circus, and it's time for them to start being about winning. And I just that's what I want. Like, it's fine. The fans will be whatever they're gonna be, and they'll be fans there. But it's like, they need to stop eating off of the past and start building some new past.
People on Twitter are tired of talking about quarterbacks already.
Yeah, well, it's like, you better find a new fucking team. Like, I hate to break it to you.
Sign off till September, bro.
This is what we do. I mean, I'm sorry, but I mean, I get it, but it's like, at the end of the day, like, if you don't enjoy, like, the banter on Twitter, you shouldn't be on Twitter, because that's what it is. Like, It's like, I want to, like, I can only look at so many pictures of people's fucking breakfast. You know what I mean? Like, we're here to talk. I'm here to talk shit. I'm here to go back and forth. I'm here to say, no, that's a dumb idea. Here's my dumb idea. You think it's dumb? Yeah, well, you're dumb. Man. Like, I mean, that's what it is.
I know I need to be more active on Facebook or whatever, but man, I went on today. Oh, dude, this dude saw Mitch at lunch and took a picture with him. And like some like old school fans came in firing like he's a backup. Yeah. Other people were like, "Why are you hating? Mitch is the best. I love Mitch." I'm just like,
I mean, dude, you could literally put like anybody in the quarterback jersey, and there's a good 50-60% of the fan base that will just jump right in line and go over the. I mean, this guy said that Kyle Orton's his favorite Bears quarterback, and I'm just like, bro, like, our standards are so low. Like, it's
don't get me wrong. It would be great if Mitch, like, if they did stick with him and he balled the hell out. Absolutely, I'm here for it. We want what's best for the team ultimately, but
it's just a law of diminishing returns at some point. Like, it's like this idea that he hasn't had a chance, that people are out there floating like just the. I mean, I actually heard on the sports radio today, again, somebody calls in and floats this idea that the Bears wouldn't be good with Mahomes because the offensive line isn't good and the weapons aren't that good. And I'm just like, we're so screwed up in the head.
What happened to Cap? He like went on that vacation and came back with like, "Hey man, everything's Irie, man. I love Mitch, man."
Like, that's their.
Those guys just hammered him in a hurry too, which was hilarious.
Right, but that's the shtick. I mean,
yeah.
And he's related to Cutler. That's even better.
Like, you can't. I mean, because you go down the dial, and it's doom and gloom. You know what I mean? Like, and that's their shtick. But that's what Cap does, is he, and then, like, just like he did when he, like, went off the deep end and was like, he's the worst. Like, I can't. I'm out. I mean, that's that. I firmly believe that's just his. But he sells it with conviction. So
he's good at it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, he had me going. I almost called in today. Like, I was just like, I was like,
I listened to the pod version, and I was gonna call in even though it was over.
Yeah. I was gonna just be like, leave a voicemail. Like,
I'm gonna write a very stern letter.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I wish ESPN doesn't do the text line, which is, I wish they did texts. 670, you can still text. Which is fun because it's pretty easy to get texts read on those shows, but it's tougher to get them to mention your tweets and I mean, I can't stand sitting on hold on sports radio. Like,
some do it.
I mean, people do it because it's like, at the end of the day, you're just kind of listening anyway. Like, if you're listening on your phone, when you're on hold, you're listening. So it's like, I sort of, but the worst part about being on hold is that you sit there and you hear your take, you hear somebody else say your take, and then you're just like, fuck.
Yep.
and then you hear them change gears, and you're like, double fuck. And then they come back on, and they're just like, sorry, we didn't get to you. And it's like, all right.
So how was Michael Rappaport?
Oh, he was great, man. It was fun. He was cool. It was really, if you don't know, he's been on tour doing comedy. I've become sort of an acquaintance of him, from following his podcast. And got a chance to go to his show. And he was at the Vic Theater in Chicago, which is the biggest venue he's ever played. And I wasn't sure if he was going to sell it out or not, but he sold it out. It was pretty cool. It's a 1,000-seat theater. And the place was jammed. And I wish I knew the name of there was a local comedian who was fucking funny, who opened up before the tour opener. And the fucking guy didn't do the thing. It's like, when you're the next comic, you come on and you say, how about such and such? You know what I mean? Like, to remind everybody what the fucking guy's name was, and he didn't do it. And I was just like, damn it. And Rap didn't even know, because it's not, he doesn't, that's not his thing. It's like the local venue books that. So, but it was good. It was really fun. He's doing well. I thought it was pretty funny that he lost his Yankee cap in a cab here. So he bought himself a black Cubs hat, and then promptly went down to St. Louis wearing that for his next couple of shows. And I was like, yeah, that's about Rappaport's speed, is to go be the
stir it up.
Yeah, the Yankee hat pisses enough people off. And then you go down to St. Louis wearing a Cub hat. But yeah, that was cool. He was kind enough to throw us a little retweet on the Brawl launch, so that was cool. He's a good dude. He's definitely polarizing, but you either like him or you don't.
Polarizing.
He doesn't. He's not on Twitter much anymore. And that's basically because it gets him in a lot of trouble. Like his career,
I can't imagine.
His career's going pretty well right now. He's got fourth season of a Netflix show that's really popular, and he's got a good comedy tour going, and he doesn't need the drama that Twitter brings him, because it really does. It really does. He can't go on ESPN
drama?
Yeah, it does. It does, even for real people with real jobs. He goes on Fox Sports plenty now, but he still can't go on ESPN ever since that whole Lebitard thing.
Well, my first exposure to him was when he was on Stern with the fantasy football, so I just got annoyed initially, but he is a funny dude.
Well, that's what he does. His whole role on Stern is to be the guy that everybody hates. And he plays it to a T. I mean, and everything I've ever seen him do, that's what people want him.
The Spike Lee movie was the first time I remember seeing him.
Right.
What was it? God, I can't think of the name of the movie.
Higher Learning?
I think it's Higher Learning, yes.
Right.
That was my first exposure to him, and I was just like, damn, dude.
Yeah, well, that's a lot of people remember him for. But everybody wants him to do, to talk about Baba Booey and, call him a bucktooth gorilla and, and all that stuff. But, he just goes. I mean, he was on Wild and Sylvie. It's just like, I mean, the guy's just got that gift of gab, and he just flows. It's pretty cool. So it was fun. It was fun to, I never get to go out really. So it was cool. Went out some, drank a couple beers.
Sweet, man. No, I got a hot take though from the combine.
Hot take time.
Just a little one. I just think that either Jake Fromm or Jalen Hurts is gonna end up panning out, because it just seemed like those guys that everyone's kind of writing off. You know what I mean? Hurts is fast, but he's inaccurate, or Fromm with his small hands, he's smart, but he's too safe. The more I looked in. The more I looked into Fromm, though, I kind of saw what Vince was talking about. You could see
Vince. Shout out to Vince, big fan of the Brawl. Love Vince, great fan, one of the best Bears fans in the world. My man is already the president of the Fromm fan club.
Yeah, but I actually started watching a little tape breakdown on him, and I see what he's talking about. I just think one of those guys is going to be that guy that people just, oh shit, all of a sudden they're having some success. because they're you know, I mean, there's always that one guy in the draft where, oh, they're too small or they're too this, and they end up doing it.
Yeah, I mean, my comment about Fromm was that he's dollar store Drew Brees. You know, like I just don't see it. I mean, I think his ceiling is Chad Pennington, who had a decent career. I mean, you know, I do see what you say on the tape. I mean, he can definitely make some throws, but you just look at his game log. He never had to throw the ball more than 30 times, almost never. He has so many games where it's like 170 yards, 1 touchdown. Like, those are not college eye-popping quarterback numbers.
Yeah.
I mean,
even like Hurts, there's a lot of inaccuracy issues, but his athleticism.
There are, but he put up some monster-ass games versus some big games too.
Well, like, yeah, they also talked about how smart he was at the combine.
Right. To me, if I had to pick who was going to have a better career, I would take Hurts, and I think Fromm's going to probably get picked before him, which I think is totally stupid.
Hurts needs to sit and develop, though.
Yeah, maybe, initially. or he needs, you know, somebody to build something around him like Lamar Jackson.
Now, let's
different
let's
athlete,
really think about this. He was at Bama, and Bama was like, okay, you can go to Oklahoma. It's cool. And that should kind of tell you the thought on that quarterback.
Because
what you just told me is you went from one big school to another.
Right. I mean, you told me that he's a blue chip that was good enough to be on Alabama and then was also good enough to come in as a transfer and start at Oklahoma. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that that's a knock on the kid. Bama is, you know, I mean, Bama's a pro team. like they got, except for they have a 90-man roster. Like it's like I don't know.
He's so good. He's about to get
Hurts.
drafted, and the kid that replaced him is about to get drafted in the same draft.
Right, and then his brother is gonna, you know, and then Tua's brother's gonna come up and get drafted, like, or you know, I mean, it's the same thing like Burrow and Fields. I mean, you know, are we gonna knock Burrow because Ohio State said he could transfer? I mean,
there you go.
I mean, that's kind of crazy too. I just look at Hurts and he to me looks like maybe like a discount Deshaun Watson. You know what I mean? Like same type of mentality. Kid's a winner. Plays big in big games. I mean, he's also played bad in some high profile games, but I just like his style of play. I just think it's going to be a question of if somebody's going to build something around him.
I think he needs to go to, like I said, just a spot to develop for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Baltimore and he's around in the 5th, 6th round, why the hell not? I mean, you pick him. I mean, that's the thing is, like, I would love to believe that Lamar Jackson's going to do this for 5 or 10 years. I just worry every time I watch him play.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, he's just...
You live by the sword, you die by the sword.
Yeah, and it's just... And now there's going to be a whole another year of tape on the guy. And, I mean, it's like, Colin Kaepernick tore up the league for 2 seasons. And then the league caught up to him. And, I mean, everybody was running the pistol and getting all hot to trot about that. And it's like... I think more teams are this year is gonna be the year of everybody trying to mimic Shanahan now. That's what's gonna happen this year. Is it's gonna be the return to that stuff for a lot of teams. But we'll see.
It's gonna be hard to do. You can't just.
Hey, shout out Pat O'Donnell getting hit today or this week.
Yeah, all those guys were out on the beach, and it was like Hawaii or Maui or Malibu, something.
O'Donnell got the old mega. Hopefully, they get him a nice cake cutter.
I thought you were about to rhyme something with Megapunt.
Heyo! Well, I did float out there.
I hit the pause button.
I don't know if we talked about it on the show or just on Twitter, but he's, I think he's got a high potential of getting the axe. And you see the Bears talking.
Did we talk about punter prospects that you think they should replace him?
No,
No,
but
it's
I don't
free
want to pay
access to
$2 million
money.
to a punter. Like, that's for fucking sure.
You got to
Like,
restructure
No,
Floyd and pay him
well,
what
I
he's
sent
actually
that.
done.
Well, we
well,
sent
yeah,
that
that.
in the
Go
chat
ahead.
where we were talking about what $1.5 million could get you. They could have got you Chad Kelly. Would you like to
Yeah.
have Chad Kelly on this roster? Yes, you would.
That's a lot of money to give to a punter. I mean, I think Nagy's mindset and Pace's mindset is like, we need to build this team so we don't need a punter. Like, if we need to get the $2 million value out of our punter, we fucked up. Like, at the end of the day, like, the best teams, you don't even know who the fucking punter is until they become an amazing radio host like Pat McAfee. Like, it's like I don't want to know the punter, unless he's a stupid kicker like
I
Peyton
don't know.
Manning.
I like Brad
talking
Maynard.
about. Huh?
I like Brad Maynard.
Yeah, well, I don't even know what team he's on though.
He was on the Bears, bro.
Oh, he's not alive. Yeah,
Right.
he's alive, but he's not
I'm
on the
saying
team.
like Bears fans know are right. I just thought he was still in the league. Is he still in the league?
No.
Isn't he like 65 now?
Who fucking knows, man? I don't want to talk about punters. Punters shouldn't make $2 million. Like, it's too much. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
agree.
And Pat Scales is a free agent, and he was making almost $1 million. He can't. I mean, snappers. I think snapper's more important than punter.
I think long snapper's the best profession, like the best job in the world.
It's hard. It's hard.
Shout out to Patrick Manley for making it like a real job.
It's hard, dude. Trying to get the laces to him right and snapping it 15 yards back.
I mean,
Not
being
easy.
being a holder's no small thing either. But I don't know. I mean, Pat's he's a nice guy. Sometimes I think you get a little sense of what the Bears are gonna do based on what goes on in the stuff. Like right now they're doing their beach crap. You know what I mean? And who's there? You got Josh Woods is there, and
You got like backups and old guys.
there, and Roy Robertson Harris is there. So it just you get a feeling like I think he's I think he's coming back. I think Nick Williams is going to come back. I think they're going to get the band back together as much as they can.
I mean, Roy Robb, he has some flashes, but he kind of fell off there too. I really thought there was going to be a time for him to step up.
Yeah, I mean that's all about Hicks being gone, and then Eddie Goldman, basically being figured out. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting, obviously, what they do in terms of the free agency. I mean, we talked about Dalton. We talked to the next thing that everybody's speculating is Foles. I think we've talked about that a little bit.
They're trying to connect everybody on our coaching staff to a quarterback they've worked
with. Well, but
with.
it's crazy how easily that is done, though. Like, it's kind of funny how they brought in these guys that have these easy narratives to draw to these guys. It's just
it doesn't bother me because I want to hear every quarterback named. It means if there is any legs to it, it just means we're looking at every option.
I hope the conversation's being had by the people that matter.
Yep.
I mean, because if it's not, as Brez said, I mean, it's gonna be rough. And
I really want Carr, man. Like.
Yeah, I'm gonna be mad. I will be super fucking mad if he goes somewhere else.
If he is available, right?
Like if he gets traded and somebody else gives up a second round pick for him and it's not us, I'm gonna freak out.
Or something stupid like a third or fourth.
Like I'm gonna lose my shit. Like
We're going live.
I might go like full. I don't know.
Full Trubisky.
I just oh my god, like that would be so ridiculous. But again, it's like as much as I want to imagine this delusions of grandeur, it's like I also remember who we are and the kind of stuff that we do, and I hope that I hope that Pace and Nagy don't get caught up in that. I mean, it doesn't seem like Nagy wants to, but. I don't know. They definitely seem a little more separate. They spoke separately, and I mean, I guess that's normal at that type of thing. But you kind of had Pace say, "Well, I'm not worried. I don't worry about the scheme and the coaching."
Yeah, Pace was too far on the script, talking about accuracy. He loves his accuracy and athleticism and his
that was a
processing.
Stupid answer. It's like, what he should have said is, I like the guy. I drafted him for a reason.
He drives a Camry.
Right. Well, there's that. But I'm just saying, I just don't like. Instead of giving like a really cornball answer that didn't sound convincing.
Right, if you're gonna bullshit us a little better, that's all.
Yeah, or just, live your truth and say, like, I was convicted about the guy, I believed in him, we're behind him, we want to try to make this work. That's the reality, that's true.
Yeah.
That right now is 100% true. It's just like when Mayock says he's a big fan of David Carr. He's a big fan of David Carr right up until the time that Tom Brady signs. And then he's not anymore. You know what I mean? And then they move on. But you're never going to see these GMs and coaches be like, people want them to be like shock jock sports radio hosts and, and flip-flop and make declarations. They're just never going to do that because it's stupid. It doesn't fit any kind of strategy that anybody would want to have. So, so, I mean, Combine's done, right? That's it.
Yep.
Right.
You guys actually going to talk about the XFL crap, or?
I'm not. One thing I will say is that
Battlehawks are 3-1. That's good enough.
Tressman's freaking team got a win against Greg Gabriel's team, and if Greg Gabriel's got to be so hot because he hated Tressman. Oh man, I mean, I remember Gabriel just going on some rants on different shows, talking about Emery and Tressman, so it must have burned him up. I mean,
I'm joking, man. If you have time to be into it, that's cool. It is cool that there's still football. So
no, I'll be straight up with you. I'm over it. I'm totally over the XFL. I didn't watch any of it. I didn't watch the highlights. I didn't watch any seltzer crushing. I'm good. I would rather watch the Combine 100%.
Exactly.
Right, and that's fine. It's not for me. It's okay. It's got its audience. If they can figure out a way to draw 15,000 fans and maybe the games can get a million viewers, they'll be fine. It's just another thing.
That was a fun segment that you started, but I think we're pulling the plug.
Until something exciting happens. I mean, the problem is that the quarterbacks suck. I mean, Landry Jones is supposed to be the best one, and he blows.
Tommy's probably better than Trubisky.
Oh. Yeah, you were out there with that. Tamu.
At least he can make the right reads on a zone read.
Yeah, I mean, against guys who were driving forklifts last week.
Like Bobby Boucher.
Hey, Bobby Boucher single-handedly brought them back. One fucking bowl.
I mean, honestly, if they had a league with ex-NFL players, they try to have that flag football league with ex-NFL players. I would watch that probably before I'd watch the XFL now. I mean, it was fun for a minute, but I'm not going out of my way for it.
Nah.
There's too many shows on Netflix. If I really got 2 or 3 hours to sit down and watch TV, which I almost never have unless it's Sunday during the NFL season, that ain't how I'm spending it. I'll tell you that much.
I just started watching Ozark, man. I'm enjoying that.
I don't even know what that is.
Netflix, check it out.
Okay. Puts on list of Netflix shows he will never get to.
Starts in Chicago. It's got Jason Bateman in it. It's good, man. He also directed it.
My wife was watching Schitt's Creek the other day. Have you ever watched that?
I've been watching it since 1986.
You been up in it? You been up in it? You been paddling? Or you been up in it with no paddle?
Upstream, no paddle. Yeah.
Oh, Lord. What if this team had won in
We'll
2000?
resume this XFL talk at a different point because
The
my
playoffs.
Battlehawks are 3-1.
When the
And I'm pretty happy with it.
The XFL.
I'm glad to see St. Louis actually out and supporting it. So.
But
But otherwise, yeah, man, big week. The website launched, and
Hell yeah.
it's pretty awesome, man. I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, it was cool for the support too. That we got with it.
Absolutely. Adam Rank,
big up to Adam Rank, man. Reached out to him and he did his thing, so that was cool.
Yeah.
Rappaport for you. So,
He said nice. I like.
It is, man. Website's looking good. I'm excited, man. I'm excited to watch. What was cool, we kind of got involved early in the process, so it's cool to see things just kind of start getting going and growing and having fun doing it with you boys, man.
We're not only showers, we're growers. Infamous words.
I'm gonna order my custom card jersey right now.
You say custom cod piece?
I said custom card jersey, man.
You said custom. How many people are ordering an Andy Dalton jersey? Heck no.
After today,
Ugh. Bro, Andy
I can't do it if they bring Dalton in.
Trash.
It's just going to remind, you know what it is? We drafted this kid that was supposed to be the franchise. You're going to bring in Andy Dalton. It's like the whole Glennon thing over again.
Yeah, I mean, he's better than Glennon, but that's not saying anything.
I'm just saying it's...
Right. It's brutal. It would be brutal.
I just want a franchise quarterback.
Like, that is waving the white flag to me, bringing in Andy Dalton. Like, that's like saying, hey, ready for 9-7 ceiling? Woo!
Yeah.
Like, sorry. Like,
red rifle, pew pew.
People act like Andy Dalton never had any players. It's like,
Plus, we don't want Ginger Unicorn having competition.
No.
Huh?
Hey,
we don't want Ginger Unicorn having competition.
He loves competition. He thrives in it.
Yeah. Gingers are recessive genes, so.
Hey, what about my genes?
They're recessive.
Mm.
All right, well, I think that's it. We certainly did more than our fair share.
That's it.
That's it.
If you made it to this point, God bless you.
That's it.
Oh.
That's it.
That's what's up.
Oh my.
Safety glasses today. I'm in the plant, so
got the OSHA pony.
that's right.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for checking us out on YouTube. Hope all you Brawl fans are into it, and keep on brawling.
That's it, man.
Just another episode of the Tailgate Show.
The Bears.
The brawlnetwork.com.
Check out the website, you fucks you.
Yes, sir.